we had somebody come in the other day, and I heard them talking to Bryson, and they said, the original owners, are they still alive? And he said, oh yeah, they're alive and kicking. Said, Brenda's in there in the office now.
Yeah.
And they were shocked, that we were still here.
Well, you started it when you were young. I mean, for
30. So I guess that's young now. When you look back.
Our whole story is about God, so if that's an issue, we probably couldn't go very far. But the thing was, after Brenda and I got married, and I moved to Tennessee. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I was born in Tampa, and I was raised on Lake Padgett in Land O'Lakes, which is about 12 miles north of Tampa. And when I graduated from high school, my parents sent me to the store, and they moved. Well, when I found them, they were up here in Tennessee, and they kept after me to come up. And they wanted me to move up here, and I had went to work for the railroad, so I wasn't going to do that. So finally, they talked me into coming up and just checking it out. So I took a leave of absence for the railroad, and I moved up to see what was going on. And the day I got here, I'd driven all night, and I laid on my mom's bed, went to sleep because I got here about daybreak, and they'd just gotten up, and so to let me in, and so I went to sleep on their bed. Well, my little sister called Brenda, who is now my wife, and she was a friend, but Brenda's quite a bit older than Tammy, and she told her that Mom and Dad had just beat her and she needed them to come up there and check on her. So she thought, what the heck? So she jumped in the car and ran up there, and Tammy drug her in the bedroom, and I was laying there asleep. When I opened my eyes, that was back in the days of mini skirts, and I'm talking about micro minis. And so I opened my eyes and I thought, I've died and gone to heaven, And but anyway, that was one of those deals where it was kind of love at first sight. It took us 3 years to get that all ironed out, but that's what happened. And then so I never went back home to Florida, never went back to the railroad.
Yeah, 1974, and Butch and I got married in 75.
Okay.
But and the reason I built the house was it was two reasons. I wasn't married yet, and I didn't know if I was going to get married because I had met Butch, but I had planned on marrying somebody else that I had gone to school with, to college with, and I was just kind of torn. I was, I'm just never going to get married. I'll probably never get married. I can't make up my mind, and I don't want to make a mistake. So Dad said, well, why don't you build your house on one of your lots and build it big enough to where when your mom and I come up with the kids, we can stay with you, and we won't have to have a house up here, because they back and forth from the farm. They kept the Grundy County farm, and that was wonderful, and it worked real good for a little while. And but that's why I went ahead and built.
But then Dad convinced you to marry him.
Yes, he convinced me after 3 years.
And you got married in 75.
I got married in 75 at.
Meantime, Brenda and I decided to get married in 1975.
Yes, and Butch had, actually when Butch and I got married, Butch started Smith Outdoor Signs because his father had moved back to Tampa. He was up here and back. So he started Smith Outdoor Signs, and we bought a building, and it was doing really well. And then Butch decided he wanted to do neon signs, and I was impressed by that.
I remember that.
Yeah. Crick's Crafts. And
the rocking chair?
Yeah, that rocking chair. And I wrote up there, and he said, Brenda, switch that button up there. And I did, and that chair just started rocking. And I said, what? And I was impressed. And, he could impress me very easily. He was,
And the World's Fair was coming to Knoxville in 1982. And everybody was talking about how that, if you had anything to rent, you could pay for it during 6 months of the World's Fair. So my wheels got to spinning, and I thought, why don't we build some cabins? Brenda's dad had some 26 lots up at Hidden Mountain West. It was just called Hidden Mountain at that time. And I said, if we built these cabins for the fair, we could pay for them and do great. So I talked to my brother-in-laws, and we already had two houses sitting that hadn't sold, so they weren't interested at that point in building anymore. So I said, okay, Brenda and I'll do it. So long story short, we borrowed $125,000 built 5 cabins. They were 20 by 30. We built the houses, furnished them for $25,000 each, and rented them. We took on 2 other houses in Hidden Mountain that we had built for other people. And so during 1981 in October, we opened Hidden Mountain Chalet and Log Cabin Rentals at that time, and we later changed the name to Hidden Mountain Resort.
And when she and Butch started Hidden Mountain with their 7 little cabins that they started out with, Daddy had developed that subdivision that we now call Hidden Mountain West. And I was in high school during that time. He sold it at auction. Brenda and Butch bought some of the lots, but they sold nearly everything they had to have enough money, and they had 3 little children, to build those first cabins. And they were the first log cabin resort that opened in Sevier County in 1981. And my husband, Roger, he's always built, always loved building. And so he and Butch got together, and they got their contractor's license. They started building. And Brenda wanted me to come work with her once they got it up and going. I worked back then in the place in Knoxville. And I was hesitant to come work with her because, to me, it was more important that she was my sister, and always be my sister, than be my employer. I didn't want it to be stressful. I didn't want us to ever not enjoy being family. That was more important to me. So when she would ask me, like, oh no, I'm happy where I'm at. Well, at one point I had quit my job and just decided I wanted to spend a little time with my only child, my daughter, and be a little more present in her life. And Brenda had a girl that left here, and she asked me if I would come and fill in just till she came back from maternity leave. She said, but she'll be gone about 6 weeks. I said, well, okay, I'll come fill in just while she's out. Well, the girl didn't come back after 6 weeks, so I said, Brenda, when is she going to come back? I thought you said she's going to be back in 6 weeks. And she said, oh, didn't I tell you? She's going to stay home and take care of her baby. She decided not to come back. She said, but if you will stay, I promise you will love working here. We'll find something you'll love to do if you'll stay. By then, I realized that my perception of coming to work with family, I love the way Brenda and Butch manage the resort. I love the way that they're both easygoing. Butch can be very intimidating to a lot of people. He's a big guy. People think he's scary, but he's such a good guy. And Brenda, she's got this soft way of handling any crisis. And I mean, the sky could be falling in, and Brenda would just look at you and say, oh, it's going to be okay. And that comes from their faith in God. They are wonderful Christians and such awesome examples to anybody that works with them. And they don't just treat other people, their family, they don't treat us any different than they do anybody else that works there. And to me, because Brenda and I grew up in a big family, I think that's why with the employees that we work with, they seem like family to us, whether they are or not. They seem like an extra sister, an extra aunt, an extra, whatever. So we love everybody that we end up working with. And Brenda and Butch have just been amazing. But at the same time, from my professional background that I had before I came to Hidden Mountain, when I walk in the doors of Hidden Mountain, I'm the employee there. I'm not the sister. And so I don't want her to treat me any differently than she treats anybody else, and I don't think she does. She treats everybody with kindness and respect.
Growing up here in Hidden Mountain, being involved in that, it's always interesting. There's always new people, new neighbors, basically to meet every day. So it's always changing. And,
how old were you when you started here?
The best I can remember, I was 3.
Okay. And what were some of your jobs throughout the years?
I started out sweeping up the job sites, the construction sites, and picking up scrap lumber, things like that. Eventually they let me inside, and I started working front desk, and became a front desk manager, and then I transitioned into more of the maintenance type area, and then eventually moved over and took over my own business.
How does it feel when you were doing that, working along with your parents? Did you enjoy that?
Most of the time.
Most of the time? Okay.
It was. It's been good. It's helped our relationship, and as we've grown up and changed, and over time, and it's been good.
My daughter, I only have the one daughter, Serenity, and she started working here when she was 14, just part-time. She'd come with me, and everybody in the office was so kind. Sandy was here. We had a lot of Bonita worked up in accounting, and she loved Bonita, and she'd go up, and Bonita would give her any little thing to do, shred paper, whatever, because she's 14, she didn't know how to do anything. So, but she absolutely loved working here, and when she got on out of high school and went on to college, she worked at some other places. She quit working here and worked some other places for a while. And she finally said, "Mama, I don't want to do these other jobs. I don't want to work these other places. There's no place like Hidden Mountain. And do you think Aunt Brenda would let me come back to work at Hidden Mountain?" And I said, "Well, call her and ask her." Well, of course, Brenda was tickled to death to have her back. So she works. She's one of our front desk managers now, and she loves working here. And then she married and has my son-in-law worked here some while they were dating, and after they got married, and then they have 2 children, and my grandson is 16, Josiah. He works in our laundry department right now, just getting started working himself. And my granddaughter, Isabella, she works part-time on front desk, and she's in college. And so as far as working with them, I absolutely love working with them. I miss them when they're not there, and couldn't be any better.
Yeah, I mean, I married 8th generation Sevier County. Hidden Mountain is here in Sevierville, Tennessee, in Sevier County. And so now I find myself daddy to 9th generation Sevier County. And it's been amazing, the story of the way I came to meet Summer was my mom was having a birthday and wanted to stay in a log cabin in the Smokies. And so we checked in at the Dolly cabin. My mom and my sister had come down from Washington, D.C., and we met. And when we checked in, someone mentioned a little farmhouse cafe down the road and how good it was, and especially how good the pies were, to make sure to try the pie. And that was Mary Lou, who actually made the pie. And she wasn't kidding, because the pie was great. And that farmhouse cafe was amazing. That was Summer's Tin Roof Cafe. And when my mom and I walked in, and I met Summer as we were ordering, and I was just immediately smitten. I was like, "Hey, there's no ring on her finger." And so we got to know each other, and then eventually I figured out that the girl from the cafe was connected to the resort that we had stayed at. And
I grew up in Middle Tennessee with my mom and dad. My dad's a pastor. From there, we moved to Kentucky when he went back to school, which was where I graduated from. And at the time, initially I thought I would go directly to college. But after much prayer, I felt like God was telling me just to wait a while. And in that journey, Uncle Butch and Aunt Brenda opened the door to let me come and work at Hidden Mountain for a while, and I got to live with them. I think it was a little bit over a year, and it was a huge blessing in my life.
Well, there's struggles because he's a lot like me. So we butt heads every once in a while, but it's a good thing because men sharpen men. And Bryson, from time he was little, he was very mature in his ages and stuff, and he was smart enough to go and get a good education. Tusculum done a good job with business and accounting degrees and stuff like that. He's got a head start on what I had because I didn't get that kind of education. I was one of those that Dad was old-fashioned, and he thought we had plenty of education starting early there. But so I didn't get the college education and all that stuff. But I'm real proud of Bryson because he's been able to share that with us and grow what we've got. I mean, part of the success of the newer builds and stuff is because of Bryson. And it brings it all to the table, and then we have excellent subs like John States and our heat and air guys, and it all works together. If you get in a house and there's very few things that a guest can complain about or find that needs to be fixed or anything like that, it makes it so much easier. And very low maintenance. there's very little to do when you check in. All you have to do is enjoy it, and that's our goal, is to make it very enjoyable for you.
It's family to me. Obviously, you think of Butch and Brenda as your mom and dad, so you never want to let them down. You take more pride in the job, because you know how important it is for the business, for the homeowners, to have a good relationship with the maintenance staff, the front desk, and everybody, because we're the ones that take care of their cabins for them.
We always like to say our repeat and referral business is the greater in our marketing department. And the repeat guests, we saw them when they came as children with their parents, and now they're grown up with children of their own. And so it's really nice to have that. Just like we're family, we get the families here.
Kevin does building and grounds and homeowner support. Lizzie does front desk. I do some front desk and real estate. I've done real estate since 1994, and I got a license a couple weeks after I graduated high school. And Hudson has been doing laundry and a little front desk, but he's moving up in the business. Everybody starts in laundry and housekeeping, and then we get to move up to the front desk and reservations and working with guests and that kind of thing. Except Kevin, who already came in as an engineer, so he didn't have to go through the housekeeping part, although he does his share of housekeeping anyway. Because sometimes people get called in when it's very busy, so Kevin goes in and helps fold.
I play tag with Emmy and hide and seek, and sometimes I chase John and Colston around, and they like. What's that dog come up here? One time they had my necklace and I had to chase them for it, and finally they dropped it, and I grabbed it.
I was called at the end of 2020 and asked if I was interested in changing careers.
Okay.
Because I was in banking for a long time.
Right.
But Belinda was retiring. So that's how I come in.
Okay.
I was on Brenda's mind for a minute, and so she asked Nanny what she thought about calling me or what I was doing, and so she called and asked if I'd be interested, and the rest is history. And it was very good timing, because I was looking to get out of banking and do something different.
My first remembrance of it was back when the World's Fair, they started up with a property that my dad had developed, and had 2 nice lakes on it, gravel roads everywhere. Butch was building a nice little cabin, selling them for $25,000 back then, and a lot of wood. Tried to do little or no sheetrock, and every once in a while they'd just put a little sheetrock so they could paint it and stuff. But we've evolved a lot since then. I started working with Butch and Brenda in 1986, and back then it was me, Sandy, and housekeeping and maintenance, and we'd get up. I'd be their closer and their opener a lot of times. So I was on salary. That's $200 a week.
We would go all the time and go watch the synchronized water show in the fountains there. And
They've got some nice shops, yeah.
They really do.
Going up to the village in Gatlinburg, we really like to go up there. There's some nice places up there. Dollywood, you like to shop there? Em's a Dollywood girl, yeah. She and Paul check the wait times, and if it's like 15 minutes on the roller coaster, they're off. They're gone. So they go over and ride the rides.
He decided that he needed to get out of the sign and let his dad do the signs.
Okay, so now we're looking at how did you and Dad decide to do cabins?
Lee had married a Grundy County girl, and Lee had bought the Western Auto where he had worked in 1967, and he ended up buying that business, and because he married a Grundy County girl. Well, there was a little house that was a little log cabin that I think some of the brothers were staying in. And we went over, when we went to visit, Lee said, "Come, let me show you this little house." And Butch said, "Oh my goodness, I could build this little house." these are so cute. This is so cute. Well, when we bought all those land together, it was the J5. There was five partners that bought all the lots that Daddy had left scattered all over Sevier County.
Okay.
And our plan was, they didn't want to be building, but the others didn't. Butch is the only one that said, I'll tell you what we'll do is, if I don't have to pay the money for the lot until after I build it and sell it, I'll build the house, and I'll go and get the loan, I'll build it. And so Roger, my brother-in-law, Kay and Roger Green, Roger was working for builders, and he was laying stone. He was a wonderful stone layer, bricks and all of that. And he had worked a lot with the building construction. And Butch said, Roger, why don't you and I partner up and let's build one of those cabins like we saw. I think I can do that. So he found somebody to buy the logs from out in Hartford, Tennessee. And they said, well, just draw out the plan and we'll cut you a package of the hand-hewn logs. And those were those big ones, the 6 by 12s. And you had to put the grout in between them. And
the chinking, right?
Yeah, the chinking, yeah. And so anyway, he put all that together. And Roger really didn't want to be a partner, but Roger said, let me just work with you. I'll be your foreman. And Butch said, that works. So that's what we started doing. And we had built 3, and we let all the realtors know. By that time, I didn't have my real estate license. I had taken my courses, but I hadn't gone and taken the test. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I didn't know the people, how to reach people for a second home. But we were thinking, this is perfect little second homes, and they're not very expensive.
Yeah.
And so we talked to some realtors, and they said, we think we can sell some of those for you. We can help you. And so we'd sold 3, and we were building more.
No, wait, I thought you started with 5.
We started with 7 on the rental program.
Okay.
7 on the rental program, but they weren't ours.
Fair.
They weren't ours.
So confused.
No, in 1981, honey, we had built 7 houses altogether. And we had sold 4 of them. And we had 3 that we still owned.
Okay.
That interest rates.
What were the 5 houses that you built for $125,000?
The 5? They were those little 600 square foot.
But were those not your first 5 cabins? Have I been telling the story wrong? I thought you built your first 5 cabins for $125,000.
We built the first 5 for $100,000, and we sold them for $25,000 each.
Okay.
We did sell 5. We had that many built. We built 2, and they sold right away. Then we built another one. We started building that 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Okay, and so we started building the other, and we got 2 more sold. Interest rates went to 18%. 18%. Well, we said, we're in trouble. Because we had 3 in our name left to sell, and we couldn't see how we were going to sell them with that interest rate so high. And so my sister Glenda and her husband Charlie and Lee, who was one of our 5J partners, said they had a motel up in Gatlinburg. And they said, we'll send you our leftovers, which is overflow. And October was coming up. And they said, Glenda said, Brenda, you can do this. You can make them real cute inside and put, and I said, well, yeah, I can. I'll make them look like little country living houses. And so we really didn't have money. So I just started sewing. I made curtains. I made bed skirts. I made
dust ruffles.
Dust ruffles.
Balances.
Yes, everything. And we went to junk places. We bought old refrigerators that looked like old-timey things.
The wood stoves?
No, not the wood stoves. We had little electric stoves in them.
Oh, okay.
We put central heat and air in them, but they were tiny.
Yeah.
tiny. We had 3 little bedrooms, 1 bath, and a little tiny kitchen and a little living room, all in 600 square foot, and a little front porch. And Butch would finish wrought iron beds, sand them down and paint them, whatever it took to get them looking real cute and like. I used that Southern Living magazine, not Southern Living, Country Living. Southern Living was too upscale for us. We're there now, but we weren't there then.
Yeah.
And so it was like Country Living. So I used a lot of little country stuff, and of course there was a lot of crafts and everything around here, so I bought local. And so I'd go everywhere to find things for those little houses, and I didn't want to do any two alike. And I started out that way, and I would name the cabins, and theme them.
What were some of the first names?
Oh my goodness, what if I can remember any of that?
I know they had ducks.
Oh, we had the ducks, we had the cows, the cow house, the duck house.
Utterly country.
Yes, geranium. We had so many different ones. No, I didn't do cats.
Weren't there like the little ceramic, little porcelain?
Yes, that
maybe
was
just as a decoration.
That was when Treva Brodesson.
Yes.
She bought a cabin up there, and they had moved here from they were living in Kansas, and they came here on vacation and bought one of our little houses, and that's what she did with ceramics, and so we bought a lot of she sold at wholesale, like the J.C. Penney's and all of that, so I bought all kinds of stuff from her, and put in all those houses because it was country living stuff.
Yeah.
And
they were primitive. Like I remember
it was primitive.
When we were little, going we'd be in the back of the Wagoneer or whatever, and you'd be at the little country decorating places and going through, or if an owner, I guess this was just a little bit later, but if an owner had a theme or a hobby, and that's what you wanted to decorate the house in, or what you decorated the house in, you would be going all over town looking for, if it was Coke products that they want to decorate in, or golfing, or whatever it was, looking for something to match all that. And the wallpaper store, we would be there for hours while you looked through those big wallpaper books. Yes. And now wallpaper's back in.
Yes, and sometimes I would do 10 houses at one time. And but what I would do because I got my license in 1983, so I started selling then, and that was wonderful because when I would sell a lot and we sold a house package, I would get to know that owner by selling it and get the feel of what they liked, and I would say, what's your favorite thing? What do you like? What's your colors? And because they would not see that house again until it was totally finished. And so I would try to, put myself in their place, and try to get it. And I only messed up one time. I was so busy doing these houses, and I was working, 3 kids plus managing the resort there in the office and all the housekeepers. And I was doing this. One owner said they did not like cows, anything but cows. Just don't do me cows. Another owner said anything but ducks. Please don't do ducks. I'm not into ducks. Somehow, I would get the wallpaper. I had everything in there, that theme. Somehow I flipped them. The first time ever, of all the houses that we built, probably 300. First time I ever did it.
More than 300, I think.
Probably more than 300. Yeah, we had 308 up there at one time. But I flipped them, and I didn't even think about it until the first owner came in. And she came in, and she walked through, and I'm so excited to show her, the house. And she walks through, and she says, I didn't think I liked cows, but I love cows. This is beautiful. It hit me. I said, what? Oh, my goodness, you wanted ducks? I said, oh, I will take all this out. I'll swap it out. I'll swap the houses out. I'll just have to swap out the wallpaper, and you'll have to give me a little time. And she said, you're not touching anything. Don't touch a thing. I love it. So then I had to wait for the other one to come in, which is the next week. They came in, and I said, I want to tell you, if you don't like it, you just let me know. I'll swap it out. I'll redo it. And she said, well, let me look at it first. So we walked in, and she said, you're not changing a thing. I love it. So I lucked up. God was on my side there.
Yeah. So Oh, what was I just going to ask you about the? Well, I don't know just about how the styles have changed, because going from ducks and cows to where we're at now, kind of, you know, how, what are some of the biggest changes, I guess, that have gone through that?
Well, when we first opened up, of course, we had 7 cabins, and 4 were already sold, and I had decorated those for them. And of course, it's like we built packages. It was all came together. I had $5,000 to decorate the whole house.
Did you used to keep it in an envelope?
I did.
And because I remember going to the stores with you, and you would be like, okay, you know, buying with your cash that you had left. So.
Yes, I had an envelope for each one, and that's how I kept my books. And I didn't know until later that Dave Ramsey teaches you to do that.
The envelope system, yeah.
And but I didn't know to do that because I didn't have a bookkeeper. I didn't have someone keeping my books.
Yeah.
And I had to keep my own books. And I would buy out of that envelope.
And your receipts would go in
my
that envelope?
receipts would go in that envelope. And when the money was gone, I couldn't buy any more. And I knew that I was finished. But I pretty well knew what.
And you hung the wallpaper.
I hung the wallpaper.
And I remember, I think sometimes I remember other people doing it, but I also remember plenty of times you going in and finishing up right before people were supposed to check in.
Yeah.
Whether it was wallpaper or putting cabinets in or, you know, carpet down. It could be an hour before guests were to check in or something.
Well, Ward Brothers made our furniture, the wooden furniture, the beds, the nightstands, the coffee tables, the cabinets. And they would try my last nerve. They would pull up the day before it was to close. And I couldn't decorate it until all that got in there.
Okay, yeah.
And so I'd have to stay up all night
I remember that.
decorating and trying to get the house done before the owner came in to close. And it was really hard. But they did good work, and they did most of the cabinets and all of that until we met Alan and June Silver. And he had a cabinet business. He worked for a cabinet firm in Morristown. And we started buying in '86. And so we didn't quite know what we were going to do with it. And we had it for a little while. The house was rented to an attorney in town. And so we just
the house that's now
2520.
20, okay.
And it was rented out. And so we said, well, let's just, it was leased. And we said, well, we'll just keep them in there and until they, so in, I guess, 1980, well, we were over here looking at the property because there was a little tiny house that was about to fall down, that little barn that's there in the middle of the road, that little shed.
Yeah.
We were there.
Old home place, yeah.
Looking at that, an old home place, trying to decide what kind of to do with all the stuff. And our neighbor, across the road, I didn't know them. I had never met them. But my brother, Freddie, drove by and he said, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? And we said, well, we're looking to decide what to do with this. And he said, you ought to be talking to the Hanshells over here. Said, they've got 25 acres they're wanting to sell right behind you. And I said, really? And I'm thinking, what are we going to do with 25 acres? We had our hands full, really.
At West.
At West. We had 208 houses on our rental program over there then. And we were thinking, well, we'll, do a little something over here. Well, this was probably right after we'd bought this property. And Freddie said, let me call him and see if he still got it. Said, I know he had it for sale. And I think for $100,000. And but said, yeah, call him and see if he still got it. And he still had it, but somebody was supposed to be coming to look at it. And Mr. Hanschel told him, said, well, it's been in our family since 1902 or something. And he said, we've never sold a piece of this farm yet. And that's that property all the way down. They lived in the White House down there on that, where the campground is now.
Oh, wow, down the peninsula down there.
Yes.
Wow.
And they owned all that land all the way up all the way back. And Julia's house was there.
Okay.
And anyway, he said, Mr. Hampshire said, now if they don't take it, it's yours. I give you my word. Well, they didn't take it. And we owned it. We ended up with 25 acres. So Butch decided to concentrate on that because we had more money in it, for one thing. And so we went to the city, and Charlie Johnson, our brother-in-law, was, your Uncle Charlie, was a mayor, and he was on the planning commission. And at the time, there was no city utilities run here, and they were just putting them out on the main road to the bridge up that way. And anyway, they said the only thing that you can possibly put on that 25 acres, as steep it is about 4 cabins. Because we're thinking we'd build cabins over here, 4 cabins. And we said, oh no, we can't do that. You know, there's no way. You can
Get your money back with that, yeah.
No, no. And so Butch, being the ingenious he is, he starts thinking, what can I do? How can I do this to make this work? What do we have to have? What do we call on everybody? The city, the state, the everything. So they told him if he wanted to get his license, up his building license to include city services, he could put in his own city lines from out there on the parkway all the way in to here. And then that would make a whole different story, and then we could build. And so at first they said, you could build a condo or something like that up there. And so we said, condo? Well, you know, and we got with an architect, and that's...
Which architect did you
That's how, he was there in town, near Daddy's office. I can't remember his name. I don't remember his name, but he drew out the villas, and we worked with him on those villas. We wanted it to look like a cabin, kinda, but yet, and we wanted them really secure and strong, you know, where you can't hear from one to the other. And so we came up with that idea to do those, and so we built a building of 4, and then those sold right away. So we built another building, and we had, for some reason, we had taken in 2 partners with us. Somehow Butch thought, well, it might be a good idea. You know, you never know what the economy's going to do. It's always been that. You know, what's the economy going to do?
Yeah.
So we got a little bit, maybe we should take in partners. Even though we were going to do all the work, we were going to take in these partners just for backup, money-wise, if we had to. They didn't come, no money put down, no nothing.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, our properties just stopped selling. We had a building of 5, and it did not sell. And I said, Butch, we're unequally yoked. And I just felt that. And so we decided that we would split the partnership. They were getting afraid anyway. They, you know, it wasn't selling, so they wanted out. So it cost us quite a bit of money to get them out. And that's okay. That's okay. Because as soon as all of those closed, those villas just so. We built the rest of the 28, and they were sold before we got them built.
When did you, and then you started building cabins?
And then we went back to the planning commission. We said, look, we've got this done. We can run city water. You know, your dad was good. He's confident. He could walk in a bank. It didn't matter who you were. He felt comfortable and confident in what he had.
Yeah.
And so he would walk in, and he would just say to them, I believe this will work. I think I've come up with something that will work. Tell me what you think. And so they allowed us to build the first phase, you know, the little strip of houses.
Cabins, yeah.
Did that to see how that was going to work. That worked. So we come with another little phase, took it to them. Yes, got it approved. Phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, phase 6, and then in 2005, phase 7. And we had bought the Marshall property, 72 acres, and so many of our owners, we had sold all the lots. Everything was built on except maybe 2 lots, and the other owners said, pick me out the best lot. I want the best lot picked, and I said, oh goodness, I can't do that. because somebody else over here had said the same thing to me. And so Butch and I were talking one day, and we both, it just hit us. We should have an auction, an old-timey auction like we did back when Papa was alive. Because my brother Scotty had taken over that, and and let Scotty sell them at auction, and just put on the food and everything like Papa used to do, and just make it a whole day. And so that's what we did. And 80% of the purchasers were lot owners that we already had.
Wow.
80%.
And how many lots did you sell that day?
67.
And how many did we stopped selling?
Yes, we
you
had
all set
15
a
left.
price.
Yes, we set a price, and we told Scotty, said, if you when we get to this price, if it starts going down, stop selling them.
So
we did that, and when
you still got to keep some of it.
We still had 15 lots left.
So what did the highest price lot sell for that day?
$247,000.
And what size lot was that?
Oh my goodness, it was a third of an acre. Not even a third of an acre, like a fourth of an acre.
And it has like 360 views.
Oh yes.
Has Bryson built on it now?
He's got a house going on it right now.
Okay.
For another one of our owners purchased it.
Okay.
And the original owner that bought it in the auction, Chuck Strasser, passed away. And he was a wonderful person. We miss him.
Yeah.
He really believed in us, and he bought several lots that day. And my friend Nancy Belcher bought the next highest price lot, and in the auction, and she bought the one right beside of his.
What would you say is the most one owner has owned with us? The most properties?
10 houses.
Would that be the Austins?
No, it was
Billy Jones.
Billy Jones, yes. And we have some wonderful owners. We've lost some really good owners lately, of course, and we've been here 42 years, and that's that happens.
Yeah.
You were babies,
Basically.
and you grew up right there with us.
Yeah.
I've worked in that little tiny office that we moved over here, and I had a little round table with 3 little chairs with your names on them, and brought you coloring books and all kinds of books down there, and y'all were so good. And I'd start to go show property in my little Wagoneer, and I'd put you in the back, all of you, and I'd say, now, here's your coloring crayons, here's your stuff. Y'all be really good. We're going to show property. Or if we were going to decorate, if I didn't have somebody to watch you, you all just went with me.
Yeah. What does it mean to you having so much family that works with you now?
Oh my goodness, that's my whole life. That's how I was raised. Even those that aren't family, that's been with us for so long, I feel like they are family. But having a place where we can teach the young ones, how to talk to people, how to treat people, how to serve people, that means everything to me. And your dad. We're both all about giving back, and that's our way of giving back, I think, more than anything to the family, is by giving them a place to work if they're willing to.
Yeah.
And if they're not willing to work in the laundry room first and learn from the ground up, then we don't really have a place for them, because we want that attitude that I'm willing to work wherever you want me, Aunt Brenda, and that's what I love. That's what I love, and then we work them up to, the front desk, and some have worked their way through college, and paid their way through school by working our front desk and being flexible to work whatever hours or whenever's needed. And
then let's see, what were some other questions I was going to ask you?
But the best thing is watching our 3 children, you and Misty and some Blue, Misty. Lordy, get my head together.
I'm going to need a video of this for my Christmas gift.
Yeah.
You just forgot.
My the plane just went by. I am tired. I just had but anyway.
I'm sitting over here.
Okay.
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, but actually the very best part is providing and having a place that we feel like that we're working not just for us, we're not working here just for the money. We don't need it.
Yeah.
I mean, God's been good to us. We've been very blessed. And you all probably don't need the money very much either, but being able to, all of us work.
No, we need the money.
But everybody working together
Yeah.
as a family like I was raised to do, like I was
You
raised.
taught us to work and how to have a business and be entrepreneurs and be with,
Yes.
how to put family first.
Yes, and do your own thing if you want to, but it's here for you. I wanted all of y'all to get your real estate license, something to fall back on in case this don't work. Go to college. I didn't care what you majored in. I wasn't interested in your grades. Just graduate. College today is like a high school diploma. It used to be back when I was growing up. It really is. And elementary school back in my parents.
I don't know about college today.
College
I told the
today,
girls to go to trade school.
Yeah, college today, unless they go to a Christian college, a really good, sound Christian college, I would not recommend it at all.
Yeah, unless they know what they want to, if they know specifically what they want to study and
It's
wanna
good.
go.
It's good for them to get out and see what the rest of the world is like, but you can't be involved in that. You can't take a chance on losing your child, and but keeping them grounded. That's like us having Sunday dinners here, taking them to church, being involved in church,
Yeah.
letting them see us work hard, being out there in the sweat and whatever.
Having such a big family with, they all have someone to fall back on.
Yes.
They've got a whole built-in support system, really.
Yes, and that's what I had growing up. That's what I had. I had all my brothers and sisters were my best friends, and I could rely on them. And so if I needed anything, or if anything happened, no matter what, I could call. What should I do? I had somebody I could call, and I felt confident in them.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for you all. That's what I want for all your children. And I see that with all the little ones taking care of each other.
Yeah.
And loving on each other and wanting to be a part of whatever it is. If Lizzie's on the homecoming queen, we all show up.
Yeah.
And everybody's so excited for her,
And that's why we also, I think, for our business, we focus so much on families and family reunions and family vacations and,
Yes.
whether it's weddings and honeymoons and anniversaries or, just having family getaways, there's such a focus on family time because
Yeah.
time together is so important. And whether it's family, not everybody gets to grow up in big families like this, but the family that you make, that you choose or whatever, but that you get to have those memories and that quality time together and remember what's important. So
We've had so many guests tell us we were just about to separate. We brought our family here and got back together. And we don't, the houses are nice, they're comfortable. We don't have a lot of activities around those houses like a lot of places. We don't have we got some amenities, we got the swimming pool, we got things like that, but to keep more focused on them in their cabin, with lots of things to do in the cabins. And that keeps them together. And whatever it takes to keep the families together, we're all about that.
that's why Dad would never let us put in an arcade at the resort or anything like that because he didn't want us. He wanted us, if the kids were going to play, go outside and play in nature.
Yes.
Or go look in the mountain.
Climb a mountain, climb a hill.
Yeah, climb a tree.
Wade in the water. Climb a tree. And that's one thing we tried to build here, if that's what you call it. The common areas where you can run. The kids can run. If they want to fish, they can fish.
Picnic pavilions.
Picnic. Go up and just sit there and watch the sunrise. At the prayer garden. Just enjoy what's here. Without all the activities, there's enough activities
There's
in
a
town.
lot of activities 5 minutes away.
5 minutes away, and you can go and so many places to go to eat, wonderful places to eat, great places to shop. Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, all those places have wonderful, wonderful places to entertain you. But we come back, relax, don't have to hear all of that here. You're hidden away, and we're blessed by that.